Chapter 1. The Fellowship of the River. The road was once a river, and that's why it's still hungry. Ben Okri, The Famished Road. Have you ever gone to the doctor for something you were concerned about, and then been told, everything's fine, it's all in your head? Well, sometimes it is all just in your head, and other times it's something more. I remember going to the doctor when I was in medical school. I hadn't been feeling well and had some rather vague, subjective complaints. Most of all, I was worried about my breathing. My lungs felt stiff, and I couldn't take a deep breath. The doctor examined me, then ordered a chest x-ray and a few labs. Objectively, everything turned out to be within normal limits. He told me that I had, quote, medical school syndrome, and not to worry too much about it. Although this was somewhat comforting to hear, I didn't feel any better. My problem was beyond the scope of blood tests and x-rays. I was soul sick, spiritually ill. In our brief visit, the doctor didn't ask me too many questions about how I felt inside, in my heart. I can't blame him. Most likely he wasn't trained to consider those things. I should know. I'm a medical doctor. But first, I am a living human being, and as it turns out, my breathing problems were related to my mental health. I was depressed in medical school. To get better, I would need to venture outside the confines of established medical care. I needed spiritual healing. Once I found it, my mind calmed and my breathing improved, and I realized that I needed to learn more about spiritual healing. When the time came, I left my books and papers behind and traveled to the Amazon rainforest. I spent years working and training in the Amazon. My traditional education there guided me to a broader understanding of health and disease. This new perspective respects modern biochemistry, anatomy, and pharmacology, but it also recognizes the profound influence of the immaterial in medicine, the emotional and spiritual dimensions of health. This is a book about the intersection between biology, emotion, and spirituality. In order to share this new perspective, I will weave my theories into a series of stories about my journey into shamanism. My interest in heading to the Amazon was in part driven by my desire to understand at a deeper level the depression that had overtaken me during my medical training. Med school had given me professional knowledge, skills, and competencies, but it had also brought me to my knees. Like many others, my Western medical training left me rather traumatized. To get through it, I needed help. And despite my initial skepticism about psychedelics, I discovered a powerful ally in the plant medicine peyote. See Chapter 4 for more about my experience with peyote. Deep in the Arizona desert, peyote helped me to quiet my mind and reconnect to my heart. My experience in the desert left me very curious about shamanic plant medicine and psychedelic medicines in general. After medical school, during my residency training, I continued to be interested in a variety of medical traditions and had further encounters with indigenous healing. After completing residency, I traveled for the first time to the Amazon in 2007. I flew to Iquitos, Peru, with my good friend and colleague, Kayvon. Kayvon and I, coincidentally, had paralleled each other through school. University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, for college. University of California, San Diego, UCSD, for medical school. And UCLA again, for residency in family medicine. For over a decade, Kayvon and I had endured the prescribed program of Western medical training. By the time we had completed our residency, we were ready for something more adventurous. After residency, one can continue medical training in fellowship, such as a sports medicine fellowship or geriatrics fellowship. We decided for fun that we would create our own fellowship, what Kayvon dubbed the Fellowship of the River.